Middleweight bout. Armen Petrosyan coming in at -115 against Rodolfo Vieira, sitting at -115 as well. Over under 2.5 rounds, +140 for the over, -170 for the under. Armen Petrosyan, 4-1 in his last 5, 3-2 in his last 5 for Rodolfo Vieira. The Brazilian fighting in his home country, taking on Petrosyan. You see the height difference there for Petrosyan, but the reach advantage goes to Rodolfo Vieira. Petrosyan, you don't see, I mean, neither guy's has like a ton of MMA experience, but Petrosyan, since he's been in the UFC, his only loss is to Caio Borralho. And in a lot of his fights, you see his kickboxing experience shine because the way he moves, his leg kicks, he's just going to be super high volume on the feet. He's got some good power. Rodolfo Vieira, obviously the decorated grappling and jiu-jitsu specialist. He will look to take the fight to the ground. So it's your classic striker versus grappler matchup. Who you liking in this one?
Yeah, this is like this is as striker as grappler as it gets. I mean, Rodolfo Vieira, you know exactly what he's going to do. You know exactly what Armen Petrosyan's going to do. At the beginning of all this, I was super high on Armen Petrosyan just because, on the feet, he's going to be the better kickboxer. He's going to be landing the more damage. That's what the judges are looking for. And then I'd start diving into the records, and it kind of reassured that stance that I have. And I look at Rodolfo's wins, and it's Cody Brundage, and it's Dustin Stoltzfus, and Saperberg Safarov, who a lot of people probably don't know who are listening to this. And then his first UFC win was Oscar Pichota. So, I mean, he's not beating guys that you would recognize or that jump out to you. Stoltzfus, don't think he's in the UFC anymore. Cody Brundage probably getting his walking papers. The guy's not beating anybody that is either in the UFC or is winning in the UFC. Like his losses to Chris Curtis, good fighter. Anthony Hernandez, good fighter, but he's not beating any of those guys. And it just makes me wonder if he's going to come in here and be able to beat an Armen Petrosyan, who beat Christian Leroy Duncan, which a lot of people were super high on going into that fight. AJ Dobson he beat, who just got a win in the UFC, who was a pretty damn good, well-rounded fighter. His only loss, Caio Borralho, who's fighting on this card too, we just talked about. That's not a bad loss. It doesn't age bad. Caio's undefeated in the UFC. The one thing that worries me, though, is Caio has that style where he's going to wrestle you and look for submissions, exactly what Rodolfo Vieira is going to try to do. I think Caio does it at a more high level, the wrestling part at least. But, if Rodolfo does get Armen on the ground, I mean, Armen's not unsubmittable, and Rodolfo's damn near as good as they come in the grappling and submission department. So that scares me a little bit. But, at the end of the day, Armen knows exactly what Rodolfo is going to try to do here. It's going to be to take him down and submit him. I think Armen's probably been working on that the last however many weeks, months he's been in camp preparing for this. And it just makes it super interesting. But at the end of the day, Rodolfo got 22 takedowns stuffed by Chris Curtis. On the feet, he kind of got touched up. And Chris Curtis is a good boxer, but you add that element of kickboxing and the style that Armen Petrosyan has. I think while this fight's on the feet, Petrosyan will really put it on him. He'll land some good shots. He'll rip the body and come upstairs as well. He's fast. Overall, I like his striking a lot. And against Rodolfo Vieira, I think he's going to find a ton of success. I'm going to take Armen Petrosyan here. Betting-wise, I'll be taking Armen as well. But I'll definitely look at that Rodolfo Vieira first-round sub, because if it happens in this fight, I do think it's going to be in the first round. Vieira can get tired, especially trying to grapple the whole fights. So outside the first round, I think this is all Armen Petrosyan.
Yeah, I like Petrosyan in this one. The only thing that scares me is career takedown defense in the UFC is 36%. The upside on that is he hasn't been finished in the UFC. He hasn't been submitted in the UFC, and he's never been submitted in his professional career. So if he does get taken down, it's probably going to be a lot harder to get back up on Rodolfo Vieira, but that's the thing you got to worry about when you're going against Rodolfo Vieira. So I'm expecting Armen Petrosyan to come in here having worked some takedown defense the entire camp and stay to the outside, use your kicks on the legs, stuff takedowns the best you can, and dance to the outside. That's a lot of his style, is fighting off the back foot, throw some kicks, throw your hands out there, and just kind of work your way around the octagon and do some work there. I would expect that he could do that to a Rodolfo Vieira, who doesn't have the most MMA experience, the most striking experience. We saw him get dropped by Cody Brundage in the first round. So I think Petrosyan should get the win here. He'll be the pick for me.